Okay, I know you really should be in the mood to do these videos, and I'm really not, but it's actually the first decent sunny day out that's somewhat warm. So, I just make myself do it anyhow. It's called self-discipline. Anyhow, I thought today's video I would talk about pendulum use, since we make them in the store, and it's my go-to divination tool, and we have quite a few pendulums in the store, and I have quite a few personal pendulums. Using a pendulum for a divination tool is being able to ask, basically, for the most part, yes and no questions. Although, you can make a grid, like say you want to know the date of something, and you use a pendulum over a calendar, and it will tell you, you know, the day you're looking for. I actually found something I was looking for in a case I was working on. I needed to find the name of a veterinarian that an animal in a case I had seen, and I used the yellow pages, went over the yellow pages, and narrowed it down to who it was. So that, you know, it comes in handy if you know how to do it right. It's all about connecting with spirit, of course, and you can tell when you've made that connection by the quick responses of the pendulum, the feel of it, and you know, you can kind of feel that you have made a good connection and that you're, you know, like on a roll. And then other times I can tell when I haven't made a good connection, that I shouldn't be doing this. It isn't the proper time, the proper space, and I cut it off. Now, to do something like this, you need to take certain precautions, because what you're doing is you're calling in spirit guides, spirits period, creatures, what some people call demons. You're opening doors to that, so you have to have some boundaries for it. Otherwise, you could find yourself communicating with something or someone that does not have your best interest at heart. So you do want to cast a circle. What I usually do is I cast my circle, which I have this like quickie circle I do with just visualize a big gold energy ball in my hand, and I drop the ball and it falls down and hits the floor and bursts into a big bubble that, you know, creates a circle and covers me from head to toe. And you know, you can say the typical words of like as above so below. The circle is the circle is formed, or something. You know, you can, whatever touch that you have. And then I always, like, in a prayerful way, call for my spirit guides, my ancestors, my loved ones, the people that I know would have my best interest. I call them in to help me and answer the questions that I'm looking for. I find this works very well for me. What works for me might not work for other people, but you can, you know, you get the gist of it. Don't just pick one up and start dangling it around, you know. That's dangerous. You just don't do things like that. You have to protect yourself. There are things in the ether that come in and out of our plane of existence freely, and if you don't protect yourself from that and you're opening yourself up to it, then you can get hurt. So before you start any divination practice, you should learn very good techniques of circle casting, of summoning, because basically you are summoning when you're doing this. So, you know, find the safety procedures for doing that, because you don't want to hurt yourself. And I would never want to guide somebody into the possibilities of hurting themselves. Once you have all that said and done, then, you know, you're ready to go. And what I usually do, just for confirmation, when I use a pendulum, right always swings side to side. Yes, you know, yes, side to side. No is always up and down, and I don't know is around and around. So it always works for me that way. You can find out yourself by just asking Spirit, show me yes. and then, calm the pendulum. After that, make it still, and then say, Spirit, show me no, and it'll show you that one. And then the one that's left over is, I don't know. And sometimes it doesn't know, especially if it's something it's about someone's free will. Like you want to know, will so-and-so do such and such to such and such? Well, that could be an I don't know, because it's up to that person. You don't know what they're going to do. Sometimes that comes into play, so you're not going to get a for sure answer. But if you're connected to Spirit, they'll for sure tell you that it's not a question that can be answered. I have several pendulums here. This was my very first one. It's a quartz pendulum. Just has a little ball to kind of anchor it on your finger. I got this years ago, and that was the first one I used. I have another one I couldn't find at the moment. It has the chakra colored crystals on the chain, and it was an amethyst. I like amethyst because amethyst is good for anything with divination or psychic abilities, such like that. These are the new pendulums we're doing now with the resin and the natural things put in the resin. And then we always make ours with this crystal handle. Sometimes they have a charm on it, sometimes they don't. This one has a little tree on it, and on the back it says Best of Life. And the handle is something I created, and you slide it down here, loop it over. It creates a handle for holding the pendulum. So if I was to have my circle cast and all that, and check my directions by asking yes or no, which sometimes I really don't do anymore because it's always the same, this would begin to work. Now, you notice it's not working. It's just hanging there. Just hanging, not really, actively doing anything. But if I was to ask a question, this would begin to move one way or another. Could just do... Okay, I just want to make sure, you never have any negativity around you. So if I was to, let's see, I don't usually do this with my right hand. I always do it with my left hand too. It's not my power hand, but I do. But if you said like, Spirit, show me yes. I'm trying to be as still as I can. But as you can see, there goes my sideways swing, And then if I was to say, Spirit, show me no. Now it's doing its up and down swing. It always works out for me that way. So I release, everything I just called to me right now. I release you. I pull everything up, and thank you so, so much. That's what you should do. You should be thankful for the aid that you get. Release the energy and whatever you've called to you. Release it. Make it free to go. And, then you're done. You can do a thankful thing if you're feeling really thankful, which I usually do when I have a really, really good connection. And you can burn some sage. You can, some Palo Santo. You can, some lavender. Anything you wanted to do, to two things: cleanse, and 3, show your respect for whatever, you have coming to your aid. Another thing you can do is, if you're doing something on behalf of someone, the way I was taught, like say a friend came over and they want me to use a pendulum in their behalf, what I would do is take a piece of their jewelry and a saucer, or a little plate, and put a little bit of water in the plate, and then set the jewelry in it. And then I would use the pendulum over that plate with the jewelry in it. Water is a conduit, it's helps the energy transfer from the jewelry to the pendulum, and therefore you can have a little bit more security of knowing the answers that you are getting are for that person and not for you. So that's another way that you can use a pendulum. There's all kinds of ways. I'm not really you know, I just don't have many things in life at this point anymore that make me need to pull this out and do it all the time. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time anyway. I only use this when I have like a really urgent need, or it's just something I need some confirmation about. It doesn't happen a whole lot anymore because not a whole lot goes on in life at my stage in life, but it's nice to know that I have this as a backup. And you don't want to become emotionally dependent on anything like this. Tarot cards, pendulums, you know, scrying, any of that stuff. Because you don't want to make yourself weak. And you have to be able to, 9 times out of 10, use your own intuition, use your own mental ability to solve your problems. Divination doesn't solve all your problems. It's a tool. It's supposed to be there to help you when you need help, but don't take advantage of it. And remember, every time you're doing it, you're summoning something to you, or more than one. And so you're taking the time of something else, of someone else's, you know, their time and space. So don't take advantage of it, because that can actually work against you. Nobody likes a greedy person. So bear that in mind when you're using tools for divination, that you are borrowing the help from somebody, something. I'm not sure. All the things that are around us are lived human lives. I'm not so much into the whole angel-demon thing, although I do believe that demons certainly exist. Maybe not in the sense of the biblical sense, but in the sense of something alive that has not ever lived as a human being and does not have a corporeal body. So that's my feeling on that. But you are calling something to aid you in spirit, and you don't want to take advantage of that, because that can work against you. So that's this pendulum, the newbies. That just showed right there that they actually work. And then this also we are making in the store. I wish we could make crystal ones, but so far we can just make the crystal handles. I like to have crystals associated with them. This little pendulum, it's very lightweight. I like it. This one was in the store and nobody bought it, but I was drawn to this one from the get-go, and when no one bought it, that was my sign that it should be mine. And now it is. I did put a crystal handle on it. It has, let's see, it has bloodstone, amethyst, azurite, and moonstone. And I picked these for psychic ability. They are all crystals that heighten psychic ability. And it makes for it has this little shabby chic look to it, if you can see it. Oh, it's just spinning like crazy. Try to hold it like that. He used gray stain on it and then painted some blue in there and then kind of wiped it, like gave it that rustic look to it. But I love this one, and I've been using this one very regularly, and I love it. It's wonderful. We have a lot going on in our life right now, and I have been using my pendulum kind of routinely for the last couple weeks, and it's really helped me a lot. And I always know when I have that wonderful connection that I'm really, you know, getting the answers that I'm needing to know, and it makes me feel really good. It's a very powerful feeling, really, when you have that connection going. So that's about it. I mean, I know I've kind of rambled really quickly. It's what happens when I'm not kind of really in the mood to do a video, but I can touch on this again. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. And as far as books to read, there are books out there. Books on divination will cover pendulum use. There's a series of beginner books that have all the tools, basically, numerology, tarot, the pendulum. Well, I can't think of all of them right now, but It's called Beginner's Guide to the Pendulum, and it's very easy reading. They break it down simply so that it's not confusing. It's a nice way to learn. I have about 5 of those books in the series. I also love the Beginner's Guide to Numerology. That is another one works really well. Anyhow, I would recommend that kind of reading. Make sure that you know for sure what you're doing. There's all kinds of ways that you can use these. I can't really think of all of them right now because my head's kind of in another space, but pendulum use can come in very handy, and it can be fun too. As long as you're doing it right and you're being safe about it, it can be very fun, very supportive. So, with that said, I think that's about it. I showed you a few pendulums, couple that are in the store. We do have crystal ones in the store that are factory made. Let's see. I think we have amethyst and a few of the quartz. They don't quite look like this. I can't remember what the chain and handle. It doesn't have a handle. It just has, a crystal bead on it. But I can't remember right now, but if you want to look in the store for it, it's there. There are a couple crystal ones, and maybe someplace down the road when we have the right machinery to shape and form crystals, we can make pendulums out of crystals someday. Never know. But as for now, I'm really happy with the wood. I've never used a wood pendulum before, and I'm very happy with this. I think wood tree energy is very, very powerful. And wasn't sure what these would do when we made them, but when I started using them, I'm very, very happy with it. Right now, this is my go-to pendulum right here. You almost feel a bond with the one you get, that you just do. You feel like a bond with it. And I really like our design of the crystal handle that makes it easy for you to hold it. It makes it easier for you to steady your arm so it isn't your shaking that's making the pendulum move. And I think it helps a lot to have the handle on it versus just one bead or something. Sometimes we do put a charm on there just because who doesn't like some symbolism? I love symbolism, so I like to have it on my stuff like this. Like this one has the charm. All right, well, that's probably it for today. I'm sorry the crow wasn't here. Today is a work day for her. As I said, our life has been a little hectic. Maybe in the next day or two, we will speak about what's going on in our life. It's nothing bad or anything like that, but it is a big, huge deal for us, a big change for us. So, any hoonies, I hope you have a rest of your day is wonderful. Friday is almost here, and I hope you enjoyed this little thing on the using of pendulums. And if you have any questions or anything for me, you can find me on Facebook at The Raven and Crow. You can find me on Twitter at S. Westman or The Raven and Crow. Or you can find me on Instagram at Raven and Crow 56. So, hope you have a good one, and I will see you soon.